Today is a special day. As you know, or maybe you don't know, it is Pride Month. So we have two very special guests, Michael Sullivan and Gabrielle Williams from CampSeen. CampSeen is a program of YouthSeen, an organization dedicated to foster, and empower the social and emotional well-being of LGBTQ youth and their families in all communities. So welcome, both of you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
First of all, let's talk a little bit about you. Are you from Colorado? Where are you from?
You want to go first.
Okay. I was born here, but I've lived a little bit all over. I've lived in Texas and Arizona and kind of came back here, but mostly here.
Nice. Okay, what about you?
And I'm from the Springs. I spent a lot of time in California, went to college out there and worked out there and did wardrobe and tailoring and design.
Nice.
So.
Okay. And now you're here in this great community that we live in, giving back, doing this work. Tell us about your titles for CampSeen, what you do. What is your title and what exactly you do there?
All right. I'm the program director at YouthSeen, so I handle all the programming for all our programs.
Okay.
And Gabby was super instrumental in creating a position for myself as activities coordinator for youth, families, and caregivers.
Nice. It's okay. I'll call you Gabby then?
Yeah.
We call you Gabby? Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, because you said Gabby.
Michael put it out there. Call me Gabby.
I made it all formal and whatnot.
We family now.
If we cool like that, Gabby, yes.
Yeah.
So speaking of family, I was looking at your website for YouthSeen and really liked how you talk so much about families being a part of, the LGBTQ youth experience. So how do you bring families into the mix and why is that important?
It's so important. And from personal experience, because one of my kiddos is one of the campers and a kid in our programming. And it takes a village to raise kids.
Absolutely.
And especially with the layers of raising LGBTQ plus youth. And so incorporating the families and making sure that they have the support that they need, so it's not just the kid getting it externally, but the youth can get that support at home, and so everywhere they go, they're covered.
Nice.
That's great. Yeah, because I feel like, especially if you don't have that experience of like knowing queer people, being queer yourself, like how do you, and puberty is already like, what do I do with this child?
Absolutely.
So
and we're able to
that.
give families those resources to give them support so that they're not having to speak outside of their expertise, because you don't know when you're on this journey with your child everything that they need to know. So we're able to provide those resources so they feel supported and feel like, okay, whatever I don't know, you're covered somewhere else.
Yeah. CampSeen, if you're just tuning in, CampSeen is one of the only youth summer camps in the country that focuses on queer youth of color. I want you to speak on that, how important that is, because the experience for someone of color who is queer is a little different than anyone else. It's all, I know, I don't want to say you put it all in a box, but the experience in general is challenging. But for youth of color, it's a different challenge. Can you speak to that a little?
From experience, right? I grew up in Colorado Springs. I did every program I could think about. I was in band, choir, I did cheerleading even. I created a dance team in high school. There were a lot of things that I had to create for myself in order to feel a part of something.
Got it.
And I think that when you are growing up in a space where you are one of the only Black queer individuals, it's hard to see yourself represented. It's hard to see yourself supported because not everybody knows how to.
Yeah.
And so me wanting to join and be a part of YouthSeen and CampSeen and helping develop other programming is, I always say all of this is a manifestation of a queer Black boy from Colorado Springs.
Right.
I really enjoy not only working with YouthSeen, but also being a part of a space where they were like, hey, we need to offer something to these kids who really don't have any outlet. There are some kids who don't have a way to express themselves fully. Sometimes they're living double lives. They're having to go outside of their homes to exist as they are, and then they're having to go home and be somebody completely different. So, CampSeen offers not only just a space for kids to support and meet each other, but creating a safe space for each other. And we're able to.
And may I add that I think something that's sometimes forgotten is that you can be Black and queer. Both can exist at the same time.
That's important for people to hear.
And
Yes.
so I think, a lot of times you can be the only Black person in a space right, or a person of color in a space, and especially in queer spaces. And so you can be queer, but your blackness isn't recognized. And then you can go to an all-black space, but then your queerness isn't recognized. And so I think it was really important for us to curate a space that was for our people of color.
Yeah.
And so, and then you can also be queer and both at the same time.
At the same time.
While also being inclusive, because we do. It's not just about, curate space for people of color, but we are inclusive.
And seen is the operative word there, right?
Absolutely.
CampSeen, being seen. Something else I see here, the programs focus on empowerment, helping campers to develop confidence, independence, belonging, and friendship. How important is that to the program, to the camp, and the counselors that you have there to make sure that they give them that? And often, do they leave with a lot of those that I just described?
Can I just say that mental health can look very different than sitting in a room and talking to someone. That is a very, it's a good thing, right, to have a therapist or a counselor or someone you can talk to.
Sure.
But mental health also looks like having that space like CampSeen and making those connections to community. And so personally, being a parent who's been through this process on the parent side and dropping a kid off and seeing how my kid went from suicidal and feeling alone and isolated, like they were the only kid who was like this. And then making that connection and saying, oh my gosh, there's a lot of us, and we can make those connections, and they're long lasting. They're outside of camp. They're connecting and hanging out, and they're continuing to meet up, and making long lasting friendships and connections. So that's important because then you don't feel isolated, and again, you feel seen.
Yeah, seen is the word there. That's the operative word there. Yeah.
And I love how you said that mental health can look like so many different things, because we do have this vision where it's like you're sitting in front of a therapist talking about your day, and while that's important and valuable and helps many people, I think that's too where that intersectionality comes in, is like just having yourself be recognized in front of other people that look and feel like you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for me, I didn't start seeing a therapist until I was 29, 30. The only way I could handle my mental health and things that I was going through was through creation. So whether that was teaching myself how to sew or starting a dance team or being a part of a group, really trying to foster some type of recognition within each other, right? The mental health aspect is super important, not just clinically, but I just feel spiritually. Like there just can't be a way for us to move, in this world and exist without having somebody or a group of people, or people, when they say your tribe, not validating you, but not just validating you, but supporting you and really understanding who you are as a person and wanting to learn. Because I think as Black people in general, we have been stripped away from all of that. Yeah. So offering a space through CampSeen to show other Black youth, like, no, you've always existed. You do exist. You do matter. It's just it's eye-opening for me as an adult now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a full circle moment, because I did not have these opportunities or services or resources when I was a kid.
Well, it's like you get to live that through the experiences with the kids. So what kind of things do the youth do at CampSeen to sort of foster this?
Yeah.
We talk so much, and it's so much fun. But we do the typical, going on hikes, learning how to do Camping 101, stargazing, and the views are beautiful. You can see every star in the sky up there. Campfires and s'mores, all those typical things with some extra stuff. First of all, can I just say we eat really good?
I love that.
You want to shout out the chefs or the cooks?
Shout out to the chef. We eat so good. But not only that, but we bring in makeup artists. We had a Chanel makeup artist come in and pass out Chanel products. And we had Cheer Colorado come in, and every kid got up on the pyramid and did cool stuff. Evie Oddly came in. It's really fun. And they decorated nails and did press-ons. And we have a really, really cool talent show at the end. And so kids get to just be seen and express their talent and whatever that is and whatever that looks like, and just be cheered and celebrated. So it's awesome.
That's a beautiful thing. I'm seeing here it also says CampSeen is financially accessible for all teens, regardless of economic background. That's important for any parent out there, or if you're, a teen that's thinking about doing this. Can you speak to that? Do you have scholarship programs?
We do. We on our website, when you go in and you inquire about YouthSeen and you fill out the application, there is an opportunity for you to request a scholarship so that we can give access to all kids regardless of whether or not they can pay.
Nice, and we'll give you that information here at the end of the interview. Talk about the counselors that you hire and the process and what's that's like to be able to, talk to these kids and share your experience like you. Have you the experiences that you've had if you're a counselor, sharing it with the youth and how they can navigate around that. How important are they to this program?
Well,
You were a facilitator last
I
year.
was a facilitator
So tell them
last
about
year.
your experience
Yeah.
coming into camp. Yeah.
Yeah, like last year I was able to teach a sewing workshop, just a hand sewing workshop that allowed kids to learn how to hem pants or what hem goes best with the skirt or how to mend fabric, right? So that was my first experience at camp, just being able to sit in a room with these kids and say, if this is something that you really want to learn how to do, come on, let's go for it. Let's do that, And that then enveloped into us creating CampSeen, which was a program that we both came up with that was all about gender affirmation through clothing.
Yeah.
I like that.
And so now going into this summer, coming up with more workshops, I'm focusing on how we really exude who we are editorially. So we'll have a model coach. Then we're going to have someone who's going to teach how to take photos and edit. Then we're going to also make something, and then at the end of camp, be able to have our own little fashion experience.
Beautiful.
But every counselor that is involved with camp either has has a clinical background or has some type of queer background or is just such an ally that they're willing to do whatever, whether that is working in the kitchen and cooking or doing other activities with the kids. So it's a well-rounded experience.
And can I just say that these are amazing volunteers.
That part.
They are volunteer
Oh,
camp
shout out to the
counselors
volunteers. Oh,
that
that's
come in
beautiful.
and show up for these kids.
That's awesome.
So it is Pride Month, and this weekend is Denver Pride, the big Pride Fest. And, I'm curious, I saw on your website that, Pride is all about resistance. And how do you keep that legacy of resistance alive with this youth and CampSeen, YouthSeen, all of that?
It's funny. We did a workshop at camp last year about the power of protest. And so we had Denver Dyke March come in and they showed the kids how to protest, and they had their boards and they marched through camp and chanted and did all these things. And I think that it's important to remember how Pride started, and these kids do, and they know that there's still so much work to be done. So it's staying alive through them knowing they're watching their rights still being stripped away and people who are still against them. And so there's still so much work to be done, and they're up for the challenge and still ready to fight the good fight. So, but Pride is also a celebration to look around and acknowledge the fact that we are still here.
Yeah.
And can I add to that too? Sorry, this gets,
That's
Good.
we had 32 trans people killed last year, right? With 50% of those victims being Black. It is a resistance being Black and queer and stepping out the door.
Just living.
Living. And if I can implore anyone to either volunteer with YouthSeen or any other organization that focuses on queer and trans youth, or even having people of color understand that we also need your love and support too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so going into this space and seeing these beautiful kids, getting emotional. Seeing these kids just wanting to exist as them. That's it. That's all they want. They just want to exist. They want to live life. It's important that we have programs like CampSeen, YouthSeen, CampSeen, Black Pride Colorado, because Pride is just not a month. It's all day. It's every day. It's all year. Yes. And people need to recognize that we have the right to live as we are, just as you do.
And that's really the bare minimum, even at that. And
right.
we had talked about this at the gala, but it's that's the bare minimum. Is just to survive, is to live as who you are. That's should be given to everyone.
Yeah.
And so really, with programs like what we do, we're actually giving them not just an opportunity to survive, but to thrive and to
Absolutely.
actually really excel.
And to see that we can succeed as just as who we are as beings.
I want to give the vitals here so that you can tell everyone who may be interested in this. But before we do, we got a text in. I wanted to share this. This is my beautiful, handsome kid. Let me just say, love what you peeps are doing. And they sent this pic, and I wanted to share that with you.
Oh,
Danny, thank you for...
look at that baby.
Danny, thank you so much for texting in, and thank you, Michael, for your vulnerability there in that moment. That's important, and that's why we have this platform. So if you could give the vitals now, how can they get involved? Where can they go? The website, social, so on and so forth.
Yes. I want to start by saying that we will be at Pride this weekend, so you can check us out in Youth Alley. We will have a table there with our resources and how you can get connected, and we will also have some of our youth performers entertaining on the youth stage, and we also have a segment on Center Stage on Saturday that starts at 3:30. So you can show up and see us there. But our website is YouthSeen, and it's youthseen.org. And that's where you can go and you can request services, which will get you connected to our case manager. We have an amazing case manager named Deanna, and so they will make sure that you get the resources that you need. So you can request services there. You can check out CampSeen there. You can learn about Black Pride Colorado there, and so much more.
You can donate there too as well.
You can
right?
also donate
There we
there.
go.
You
Yeah,
can be a
that's
monthly
important.
recurring donor. You can do a one-time donation.
There you go. That's
Yeah,
important
donations
too.
We also have like an Amazon wish list where if you don't want to donate monetarily but want to buy some products for us that we need for camp and just for youth scene in general, we have an Amazon wish list as well.
And very quickly, when is the actual camp? You said it was in July. Is that correct?
Yes, July 20th.
July 20th through the 27th.
Okay, and all that'll be on the website. If you go, please, one more time.
Yes, it is youthseen.org. You can check it out. You can actually fill out the application to be a staff or to, if you have a youth that still wants to get involved. We are looking for nurses or doctors for camp, as well as kitchen staff. So there's still
To
time
get some of that
apply.
good food,
So please do that.
Gabrielle Williams, Michael Sullivan, thank you so much for being here. The work that you're doing is well needed, and you always have a platform here to spread the word and get the information out there. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Community Corner, Sugar Bear Lamali, 104.7 The Drop.